Hey, y'all, what Tim say? She said 5 in the morning, I wake up to fight for my earnings. Fear in my mind is a warning. Pray to the one you rely in.
Welcome to the Struggle of Motherhood podcast, and you're tuned into another episode of Let's Talk About It with Mama Shantae. But before we get started, y'all know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share that thing on out for your girl. Well, without further ado, as y'all can see from the thumbnail, we're going to talk about a very controversial topic, and that is what comes out of Donald J. Trump's mouth. Yes, sir. What comes out of his mouth? It sure ruffles a lot of feathers, but let's be real. It sparks up real conversations that need to be had that a lot of people try to just sweep under the rug. And we're going to talk about it here today on the Struggle of Motherhood podcast, okay? I'm just going to always speak from my opinion. My videos are not meant to offend anyone. They're only meant to spark conversation and hopefully spread awareness. All right, without further ado, here we go. I'm going to insert a clip about what Mr. Donald J. Trump had to say regarding our children. It's about our children. So before y'all get your draws in a bunch, keep that in mind. It is about our children. Period. Point blank. All right. I'm going to insert the clip right now.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born.
So my opinion on this topic here is I agree. I agree. I agree with Donald J. Trump. Yes, I do. Y'all can spam my comments with whatever you want to say, but the facts are the facts. All of this confusion amongst our children is too much. It's just too much. What you choose to do as an adult is what you choose to do as an adult. I know when I was a child, I wanted 10 kids. I got 3 of them. I don't want nan mo. I don't want nan mo. I'm barely holding on to my brain cells with the ones that I got. Okay? But when I was a kid, I wanted 10 of them. You couldn't tell me no different. All right? I also wanted to be a lawyer and all these other different things. And then as I got older, I realized that that's not my real passion, and I follow my real passion. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that as a child and as an adolescent that we think that we want, or we say that we want, or how we feel. And then we grow up and our minds change, whether it's our environment, life experience, or just our minds just change. You know what I'm saying? So I agree that, people allowing their children to make these decisions as far as castrating themselves before their brains have fully developed enough to even understand what that means, I believe that it should be a crime. I do. That is my honest opinions. I believe that the doctors need to be locked up, the mamas need to be locked up, the daddies need to be locked up. Whoever is consenting to this and performing these very risky surgeries and permanent things for these children, I just don't understand it. I mean, when I was younger, you had to be 18 in order to buy tobacco. And I mean, it's crazy because I was indulging in tobacco before I was supposed to be indulging in tobacco, And I am not condoning this for children. I am not saying that they should be doing these things. But I'm saying from the time that I was a child, the drinking age and the smoking age has went up. You know what I'm saying? Well, the smoking age, the drinking age has always been 21, but the smoking age has went up from 18 to 21. So you guys have decided that 18-year-olds are no longer adult enough to make the decision to smoke tobacco, right? Which can lead to cancer and all other things, right? But that at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, that they are old enough to say, I want to change my gender. I want to be castrated. I no longer want to be the gender I was born. You are saying that they are old enough to make that decision. They are old enough to make that decision and it be that. But they are not old enough to walk into a store and buy them a pack of cigarettes and decide whether or not they want to destroy their lungs. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand that. You see so many stories. I've seen them on YouTube and other resources. You see so many stories of people who regret having these operations. And they're adults, and now they're going through all of these mental health issues and have to go through a whole bunch of therapy because they have made this permanent decision for their lives. No one is saying that you should be in trouble for your, if your child says, hey, I'm gay, or whatever the case may be. No one is saying that you are supposed to put that to the side, disown your child or anything like that. But they can be that and still be the gender that they are until they decide, when they are adults, when they have the right state of mind or the mature enough mind to make that decision. But I think for other adults to allow small children and children to make these very just permanent big decisions makes no sense. To me, surgery period is too much. It's such a risk. Unnecessary surgeries, I just don't understand. We sit on here and we have adults who are bashing other adults for getting BBLs and Botox and breast augmentations and things of that nature. But then you turn around and you bash someone who is saying this should be against the law to be done to children. You know what I'm saying? This should be against the law to be done to children. You see, there's some women, and I know even some men, who are obsessed with plastic surgery to the point where you don't even recognize who they are. You know, every year they a whole different person. You know, you see on the show Botched, you know, you see those people, they've had so many surgeries, they look like complete Barbie dolls or something, right? They have all of these surgeries, and those are very detrimental to their health, and they just continue to do them and continue to do them and continue to do them. I don't think that they found their happiness. I don't think that they found their happiness. If you have to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak, I mean, you finding something wrong with yourself every time you look in the mirror, to the point where you need to cut it off, suck it out, chop it up. I mean, geez, I'm not against plastic surgery. Do what you want to do, but there's a certain extent that you should go, right? So no one sits with them and says that they need to have a psychological evaluation, and they should. But they are adults and can make those decisions. As a child, you are telling a child to go through multiple surgeries and lifelong things that they have to do to change their gender because of a feeling that they have right now. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand that. I feel like trying to make this an LGBTQIA argument instead of seeing this as a protecting our children, you know, because I feel like a lot of it is fantasized, you know, oh wow, you used to have boy parts and now you have girl parts, and you're only 12. Like, I just feel like it's fantasized to creepos out there, and it's not right. It's just not right. In my opinion, it's another form of pedophilia, and it's just a way of sweeping that under the rug, because I just don't understand what benefit does a child have of changing their gender. What benefit? I remember I received something in the mail when my daughters first started school this year, and it was something to fill out, and it was asking the gender in which they were born and the gender in which they identify. And I just was so confused by that. I was confused by that. I was attacked online at one point because I posted in a mom group that, you know, my kid's doctor was very impressed that my son was able to state everyone's gender. He said, you know, my sister is a girl, my other sister's a girl, my mom is a girl, I'm a boy. His doctor at the time was a female. You're a girl. My dad's a boy. You know, this is that and the third. And she was like, that's just, you know, so amazing for his age. And I posted that in the group, you know, like, I'm so proud of my son. And I got attacked like, you're such a bad mother for forcing genders upon them. And I was so confused. Like, how does this make me a bad mother by telling my child clearly what they are? We've learned since the beginning of time that your genitalia is what makes you male or female. And now you have here today where it's pushed to the fact where I'm being called a cis woman. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. And it is just, it's very confusing. And I am a 29-year-old, almost 30-year-old woman, and I'm very confused. So imagine me having to explain to my 10-year-old daughter everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and some people can say, like, you know, well, you're not supposed to be able to see someone's gender, you know, their parts, their genitalia, to be able to decipher. Women have things, some women have things like breast that you can tell whether their outer appearance, what they're wearing or not wearing, whether they are female or male, right? that's always been like the distinguishing thing. And then, guys, whether they're like really muscular or the bulge or whatever we say as distinguishing whether they're female or male. When I was in high school, we had females who were studs, and I mean, some of them, if they didn't wear a certain type of clothing, you couldn't tell whether they were male or female. And whether you called them male or female, they never got visibly offended. They either corrected you or just went on about their day. But now it's such a big issue. It's like, if I see this person and I know that they're a man and I call them male, I will be attacked because they want to identify themselves as a female. But that's trickery with my mind. You know what I'm saying? Which, I'm not trying to offend anyone, and I don't want to offend anyone, because you have the right to be called whatever you want to be called. That it is what it is at this point. My thing is I'm trying to get to the point of explaining that I'm an adult. I'm a grown woman. Like I said, almost 30 years old. And I myself get confused about what's going on in today's culture as far as gender and identity goes. So for you to think that someone who is an adolescent could grasp the idea or ideology, whatever, of gender and identity, you're loco. You're just plain crazy. Because I think that us as a people, we are all confused. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of my life, it's always been boy, girl, male, female, male, man, or woman. Whether you were gay, straight, bisexual, queer, whatever your sexual orientation was, did not matter. It didn't matter. You were always either a boy or a girl. I mean, I knew some men who were very flamboyant, and I would call, hey, sis, girl, queen, and they have no problem. But at the end of the day, if I said boy, please, they still had no problem because they're a boy. So, so they had no issue with that. But now here today, in 2023, I want to be very careful with my words, but I want to say it has become such a very sensitive, confusing, emotional, overwhelming topic. And I feel like, as a straight, biological woman, that I'm walking on eggshells and trying to protect myself as a woman every day. So just imagine my child says, okay, mommy, I want to be a girl. And my son, mommy, I want to be a girl. Okay, what does that mean to you? What does being a girl means to you? Okay, I want to dress like this, dress like this, dress like that. Okay. When does it come into play that, oh, I want a vagina instead of a penis? When does that come into play? You know what I'm saying? When does a child, without it being introduced to their minds, that they no longer want their penis or vagina, but they want to exchange the two? When does that come into play? Those things are only used for 2 and 3 things at one time, right? They are only used to use the bathroom with, okay? To engage in sexual activity in order to then 3, create children. Right? So what problem do you have with using the bathroom? Whether you're a male or a female. If you're a male and you say, I'm tired of standing, well, sit down. Sit down. Ain't nobody forcing you to stand up. Sit down. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't gotta castrate yourself because you're tired of sitting down. Because you're tired of standing up. Just make it make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? When does it come into play for a child to say, I want to make all of these changes? For if my son says, okay, I want boobs or whatever, you better eat a little bit more. You better eat a little bit more. And if you want them without having to eat, they have the little stuff them in your bra, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But you ain't got to go all that route to stick foreign objects in your body. It ain't all that serious. You know what I'm saying? These things are heavy and hard work anyway, right? So you just have to think about all these things. And then, so when it comes to the second one, which would be to engage in sexual activity, y'all ain't got no business doing that. Y'all ain't got no business doing that. And the people can say anything they want to say. Oh, our grandparents was having kids at 14, 15. So are we condoning that? Are we saying that that is okay? Are we saying that that is okay? You know what I'm saying? So what are we really saying is the reason behind consenting, condoning, supporting child mutilation? Because that's what it is. Let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. And I think a lot of people are having a problem with this topic because Trump said it. You know, because Trump said it. It could be, you could be receiving the greatest message, but because it's coming from a person you don't like, you just gonna dismiss the message, miss the blessing, and gonna run off your ego and your pride of being like, I don't like this person. And because I don't like this person, I'm not going to take in and take heed to the knowledge that they are giving to me, which is totally wrong. I feel there are a lot of things when it comes to Trump that I do agree with. There are things that I disagree with, but that's everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? That's another topic for another video. I want you guys to open your minds as parents. Open your minds as parents and say to yourself, do you want people who you send your children to school with to educate them reading, writing, math, arithmetic? You know what I'm saying? To tell your children that it is okay for them to change their gender and not tell their mom. It's okay for at school for us to call you a boy even though you're a girl, or a girl even though you're a boy, and we don't have to tell your mom anything, which then conditions them and makes them hate their parents or family members because they are calling them by the gender they were born as they should, and at school they are calling them by the gender they desire to be, as they should not. So what you have to ask yourself as a parent, would you want someone doing that? Would you want someone doing that? It's not about supporting your child's lifestyle and things of that nature. It's not about that. It is about understanding that children make decisions that adults regret. Okay? There are some decisions that you have to sit back and think about that you made as a teenager or as a child that you were able to make, that you had to stop and say as an adult, that you look back and say, whoo, if I knew what I knew now, if I felt how I feel now, I would have never done that then. Because I know me personally, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I mean, every step of the way, I have flashbacks, and I'm like, oh boy, when I was 15, 16, 17, I would tell my 29-year-old self would tell that teenager, girl, don't do that. Because no, you ain't even gonna feel like that in a couple years. Once you become a parent and everything else, you ain't gonna feel like that. Whatever will wop. You know, you have to think about your family lineage, you know, as far as when it comes to these children making these decisions. If your son decides to castrate himself and then just get later on in life decides that he wants children, how are those children going to biologically be his? How is he going to do that? He no longer has the tools that it takes to make a baby. You know what I'm saying? And he may not be thinking at 15 or 16 years old, nor have the funds to say, oh, you know, I'm going to go freeze this and do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like we have to really think about things. There is a difference between accepting your child's sexual orientation and agreeing and consenting to your child castrating themselves. There is a big difference. If you got a son and he want to wear a skirt, put the skirt on. I mean, if that's what you want to support, that's what you want to stand behind, go on, put the skirt on. You got a daughter and she want to grow a mustache, a beard, or whatever the case may be, or she want to wear, baggy clothes, masculine clothes, and whatever. Then do what you do. She want to like girls. And, hey, what you do in your bedroom ain't got nothing to do with your mama. But as a child, to make those decisions that are long term, not asking, but you are saying that you want to go. Yes, you are asking for permission from your parent to consent to you to go and have a major cosmetic surgery because of your feelings at the moment. It's not like you have a massive birthmark on your face and you want to go and, get it removed or something because it's messing with your self-esteem. I have this here. I have this big birthmark here. It's been here my entire life. A lot of people didn't know I had it because I had more chin than I had neck. As you barely got some neck, y'all see that. But I used to want to cut it off. It grows hair. It grows grays. So I used to have a lot of problems with that. And I went to a couple of doctors, like, what can I do? I don't want this on here. And they were like, well, what we can do is take this patch of skin off, basically, and then take a patch of skin from your back, and put it over there. And then you'll kind of still see a remnants, but we'll just basically put layers of skin over until you really can't tell. But the only problem with that is that one, part right here will still be a different color. My back is I believe lighter right now. Yeah, my back is lighter than my neck. So, and at the time, I was extremely lighter. So it's like it would have been all different types of colors when it went in, right? And then I was just like, I'm gonna keep my birthmark. It makes me unique. It makes, a lot of people don't know I have it. And when I show people I have it, they're like, hey, that's kind of cool. I got this birthmark, this beauty mark on my nose. I didn't try to cut it off, stick a tack in it, but pull tape. I didn't try to do so many things to get it off. I didn't talk to doctors. They was like, well, we can do a freeze method and all these different types of things, and it'll eventually fall off. And then I was like, but what would I look like without it? How would I even operate life? I don't even know how to stick and move without that. My breasts have always been extremely large my whole life. And when I was more weight, they were even bigger. And I've talked to a lot of doctors and they're like, you're going to have to get a breast reduction. You're going to have to get a breast reduction. We're going to probably take you down to like a small C. And I'm like, a small C? I've been in a 48 double G for years. What I'm supposed to do in a C? I ain't been in a C since third grade. I don't know how to operate with that. I don't even know what to do with that. And then if I lose weight, they're going to be even smaller. What am I going to do being flat chested? How then will my self-esteem work? So what I'm getting to is you see how me as an adult, I'm thinking about all these different things. Imagine your child. They make this decision to change their gender, not just on paper, but physically change their gender, right? And now they're in a different body, basically, than they were born in. But mentally, they're having a lot going on because, physically they may be sounding like a boy and physically have girl parts. So their voice is not going with this. So now they got to take hormones for this to match. And then they got to say this for this to match. And then all these different things. And then they have to gradually grow their boobs and everything like that. And make sure that their entrance stays open and all these different things like this. Whereas when they were what they were born as, they may have had some issues as far as just their self-esteem from that they could have went to some type of counseling and had some type of work done. And then when they got older, if they still felt like that, then do what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? But instead, you go and add on to their psychological problems. If you truly believe that if your child comes to you and says that they want to change their gender, that by taking them to the doctor and having them have a major surgery to permanently change their gender is going to boost their self-esteem, you have got to be crazy. You have got to be crazy. You have got to be. They face more problems in life with that issue of, I went from being physically a boy, physically a girl, to now I am physically a boy, physically a girl, and psychologically I am confused because for this moment, at this moment, as a born male, I want to be a female. Now that I have this female body and time has went on and puberty has naturally hit, I now want to be a boy. That cannot be reversed. That cannot be reversed. And I think that's what everybody needs to think about when they hear what Trump is saying. See, sometimes you have to be harsh and really lay the hammer down in order for people to get the point. Some may say, well, the things that he's saying he's going to do, that's just doing too much. But sometimes you have to be a little bit more harsh on the punishment in order to prevent the crime. It is what it is. It is what it is. Half of y'all ain't gonna take them kids' games in real life, but you gonna threaten it in order for them to get them beds made, take out the garbage, or do whatever it is that you assigned them to do, right? And then when they don't do it, and they pushed you to that point because you had already laid down the law, and then when they don't do what you told them to do, you hate to do it, but you got to go on and take that PS5 or that game, whatever it is that you bought for them, their phones or whatever it is you threatened to take away. Now you have to do that. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. So that's all I have today for this video. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk About It. And until next time, y'all be well. Peace out.
Pray to the one you rely in. I've been wandering all day, tried to be fine, but I can't be. Noise in my mind wouldn't leave me. Tried to get by, but I'm burning. And behind my mind it runs all these thoughts that trouble me. Fighting to give up my pain, fighting to be